It is St. Patrick's Day, March 2016, and I just wanted to check in before I go to bed and give an update on Teenage Assassin. So I felt like I was having good progress on the book, and when I thought about it, I just felt like the stakes weren't high enough. That really that the story needed to be about more than just this weird chick who shows up in high school and you know um, another kid trying to figure out what to do with her. So, and then I also thought, well, does Raven really need to be real, or can she simply be a figment of my protagonist's imagination, a way to deal with anger and helplessness. So what I decided was that Samantha had a sister who mysteriously disappeared, and then a year later, her bones are found, and Samantha suspects that her sister's boyfriend killed her. But he's the golden boy, and there's really not a whole lot of evidence. It's really not any evidence because there's not much of the sister left, just some scattered bones, not even a full skeleton. And so, and the disappearance and ultimate death of Lisa, Sam's sister, has pretty much destroyed her family, and the mother commits suicide about a month after the funeral. And so Samantha is very alone, very alienated from her friends because she doesn't really feel like she has anything in common with them anymore. She doesn't really live in the same world. They live in this world where people are safe, and you can trust the people that you know, and bad things happen to other people. They don't happen to you, and you can just go ahead and plan your life, and expect that things are going to turn out the way you think they're going to turn out, because that's really what a young person thinks. You never suspect what's waiting for you in all the years that you spend being an adult. Jesus Christ, if anyone actually knew, nobody would want to grow up. It sucks. I mean, you gain a lot of wisdom, but boy, is it ever hard one. But anyway, so I had this idea that Samantha's best friend since like first grade, a girl named Kendall, starts dating this guy that Samantha thinks brutally killed her sister. And the friend was really her biggest support. So not only has she lost her sister, lost her mother, lost just her basic faith in humanity, but she's also lost her best friend. Her best friend has basically, I guess, is sort of a turncoat, a traitor or whatever. She sort of crossed over to the other side. So she's very alone. She's very angry, and she feels very helpless. And she's obsessed with the fact that this guy killed her sister, and that there's nothing she can do about it, but there should be. It's just wrong that this guy gets to do this and ruin her life and ruin other lives and destroy her sister's life, and then just go on and have all the good things that he has. Senior class president, captain of the track team, probably going to be class valedictorian, or valedictorian, class valedictorian, probably going to be a class valedictorian, and just sort of the golden boy, and everybody loves him. So I had this idea that there's sort of a nerdy kid that she was kind of sort of friends with when she was younger, but they don't really hang out anymore. And they end up being in detention together. And I haven't decided, he's either reading a comic or he's writing a comic. And I haven't decided which. But the comic is about this secret group of women assassins. They're teenage girls, and they're deadly assassins. And I had this idea that in a moment of despair for Sam, Raven from this comic book appears to her and says, you know, you're just a big baby and you're crying, and what's wrong with this world? In my world, we don't let this happen. We take things into our own hands, and we make sure that justice prevails. Some kind of speech like that. And then basically Sam now has this sort of figment of her imagination talking to her about being an assassin and sort of the assassin's code and the assassin's trade. And so now she's sort of in training, I guess, to be an assassin. And so that's kind of what I had thought about. And that now she's sort of stalking this guy. I don't know whether he knows it or not, but she's stalking this guy and she's making plans for what she's going to do. She's stalking this guy and she's making plans for what she's going to do. And then she's trying to prepare herself for whatever her end plan is. And I have an idea of what I think I want the end to be, but I don't want to say anything right now. I don't want to spoil it. But anyway, that's what I had thought, and I got some really good writing from it, and it's very dark, and it's first person. I was kind of afraid to go dark because I'm trying so hard not to be depressed. And, when I started with this whole idea of writing a book 2 years ago, the whole point was really to cheer myself up and to give me something else to think about besides my problems. So everything that I've tried to write, I've tried to keep it light and fun and sort of fantastical. And but I don't think that this story lends itself to that. There, of course, will be some humor in it, but it's going to be a pretty dark story, and I think it's going to be about somebody dealing with grief and rage and helplessness. And so I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try and figure out what I think the basic parts of my story are and what I think is going to happen. And then I think I'm going to run it past my writers group and ask them what they think and ask them if stuff makes sense. So that's where I'm at with that. I went to my psychiatrist yesterday and had a really, really good talk with him. And we're going to supplement my antidepressant with Lamictal, which is an anti-seizure medication. And he seems very confident that I'll do well on it, and it has very few side effects, and it really doesn't have any of the side effects that most mood stabilizers and antidepressants have. We would start me at an extremely low dose, not even close to the therapeutic dose, and he doesn't even think we'll have to ratchet me up to the therapeutic dose for me to get an effect, because I am so sensitive to medication. So I am I'm hopeful. Um, the only thing is, I may have to wait a while before there are any results, and I might end up feeling worse before I feel better because I'm going to have to lower the dose of Wellbutrin that I'm currently taking if I want to add something else. And we're basically just doing it to be safe because I'm sensitive to medications, and we can always ratchet the Wellbutrin back up to 450 if I feel like I need it. And another interesting thing happened today. An email was sent out company-wide by my employer requesting that people fill out this form and self-identify if you have a disability or if you're a disabled veteran. You don't have to do it. It's voluntary. The company says, well, we're trying to comply with federal requirements that companies over a certain size are employing a certain percentage of people with disabilities. And this won't be held against you in any way, and there will be no retaliation. And the form is basically just you put your name in a checkbox, like, yes, I have a disability, and that's it. There's no other information that you provide. But it also says we will, if you need an accommodation, we will do our best to provide one. Come and talk to us. Well, the last time I asked for an accommodation, my asshole ex-boss used it as a reason not to promote me for a job that I earned, deserved, and was probably overqualified for. He basically fucked me. And I ended up having to go see a lawyer, and best $500 I ever spent. Basically, we sort of laid a paper trail so that if the company decided, because they had been recently bought out, and if the company, and I was probably the highest paid writer there, if the company decided that for whatever reason I needed to be let go, that we could lay a paper trail and show that it was retaliation. Because I basically, when he did that to me, I went back and reported him to HR. And what was funny is the lawyer told me it was the best thing she'd ever seen someone write, and she wished I could teach all of her clients to write complaints like mine. So that felt pretty good. But at any rate, so these are my thoughts when I'm reading this email, and I really thought about it, and I went and asked my boss, my current boss, who's awesome, and I think a pretty enlightened person, why do you think the company sent this, and what's this all about? And he said, I think it's a good thing, and I think they truly are just trying to get into compliance with these requirements, and this is good that they're trying to do this. So at that point, I said, well, I've been thinking about this for very much for the past year, but I've been very hesitant to do it. But I need to informally ask for an accommodation, and essentially, it's really just what I've been doing anyway, which is I've been keeping a flexible schedule. I try to get, it's very hard for me to get up early. But if there's an early office meeting, I will do my damnedest to make sure that I get there. But there's other times that I'm not getting there till like 9:45. I just have a really bad morning, and it's really hard for me to get going. And I told him, nobody's hassled me about it at all. Nobody's even said anything. And so up until getting that memo, my feeling was, well, I'm not going to say anything until somebody else does. If somebody else brings it up, then I'll bring it up. I said, but since this is now sort of being an issue that's being brought to the forefront, I just sort of informally want to say, hey, you know, it's helping me that you're letting me keep a flexible schedule, and I'd like to keep doing that. And so he was totally cool about it. And he said, absolutely no problem at all whatsoever. And, you know, if you need more, you know, come and talk to me and we'll see what we can work out. And so that was great. And I think that, like I said, I think my current boss is enlightened enough that I don't have to worry about, you know, walking in, you know, at my next performance review and having a big knife stuck in my back by someone who pretended to be my friend. So, but this is a real concern. You know, there's federal law that protects people, and companies are not supposed to retaliate, and they're not supposed to use it against you, but they do, and they present it as something else. My sister was fired the day she came back from my father's funeral, because she had disclosed that to a company that theoretically had a policy of helping disabled people, and she had asked for an accommodation, and she had told her boss that she was having problems with depression, and it was like the minute she walked out of his door, that asshole started the whole process, you know. So these things happen, and it's, for me, I'm not somebody who feels ashamed of this, and I don't feel like there's a big taboo about it. Like, for me, if somebody asked me, I would tell them anything they wanted to know, particularly if they were asking for themselves or a friend or a family member, because I feel like I probably have some helpful things to share, and it helps people to know they're not alone. But I've also learned that you just there are some people you just can't be honest with, and there are some people you can't trust with the truth. So anyway, that's my day. That's what's going on with Teenage Assassin, and with my medication issue. And I will check back in this weekend, I suppose.